Hi there, I'm Rebecca and a really warm welcome back to my channel, Created by Rebecca. In this week's video, we're going to be recreating one of these two pieces using gouache. Let's get started. I painted these two pieces 30 years ago using oil paints on just cheap sugar paper. They're based on photographs of a local beauty spot called High Rocks, which is in another part of Kent, but not too far from us. The colours and style is definitely taking influence from the Fauvist movement and also a little bit German expressionist movement. The two were sort of formed in a very similar time frame and definitely shared some ideas about how to move on from impressionism. I painted these at home during a school holiday, and I seem to remember my art teacher not being particularly excited by what I'd produced, but I have always loved them. I've decided I'm going to work with this painting. I've always loved the sort of contrasting colours in this one, the winding path. I can see there's some stuff that needs tweaking in this. I think I just got so excited with laying the colours down and the textures that maybe I wasn't thinking so much about the composition or where things ended and started. But we can work on that. I've decided to use gouache, which is, well, it's a bit like opaque watercolour, really. You can use it in several different thicknesses, right up to straight out of the tube for the most opaque highlights. I've bought myself this set of fairly inexpensive Royal and Langnickel gouache paints. It's 24 colours, well, 23 because there's two whites but they're different, and they are 21 millilitres per tube. I've stayed away from gouache for many years. I had a bad experience with it when I was doing my art foundation course after my A-levels, and I've never touched it again. The closest I got was using Jo Sonja's Matte Flow acrylics, which used to be marketed as acrylic gouache, but they've obviously decided that they're not really that, so they've rebranded them. Gouache, although it is opaque like acrylic paint, it can be reactivated really easily with water, so you have to be careful when you're laying colours over the top of other colours, and there's some rules to bear in mind when you're working with it. And I am only just starting my journey. I bought myself this airtight palette by Magello, who do lots of watercolour products, and it comes with a lift out palette which is sitting there on your right hand side, and also these wells which are pretty good for filling with gouache. Gouache will dry out, so the longer you can keep it moist the better. So something with an airtight seal is fantastic, but you will need to keep spritzing the whole thing with water while you're working, and you'll see me do that. You can see already that I've been testing out these gouache colours and seeing what mixes I can achieve, and you can keep reworking from these little piles of colour forever. This is the removable palette that it does just sit in the lid, but you can take it out and use it separately. To be honest, you're dipping in the gouache more often than not, so might as well keep it all attached. Here's my little bottle of water. and I've just liberally sprayed the surface of not only the mixed paints but also the neat paints. Ideally you would use a palette knife to transfer the white across into your mixing tray, just purely to kind of keep your white as possible. This is the one that I tend to clean out the most, the rest I just add colour on top of. It's also the colour that I use the most as well, and that's true with any gouache set. You can use gouache in conjunction with watercolours, with acrylics, with any other medium really, colour pencil, graphite pencil, charcoal. I found with some of the colours I was getting quite a bit of binder coming out with the first dispensing of the colour. These are definitely a student grade, a beginner's grade of gouache, and I wouldn't be recommending this for finished pieces that you might be wanting to sell, but certainly they're great for sketchbook work and getting an understanding of how gouache handles. If you find a mix that you particularly love and you want to use again, you can mix it up in one of the little wells and leave it there and just reconstitute it every time you want to use it. They all reconstitute really well, and you can use any that doesn't reconstitute particularly well just as a sort of initial layer. Here's a quick swatch chart of the colours you get in the set, straight out of the tubes. 2 whites, which are very similar. Actually, titanium white is quite yellowy. There's lemon yellow, yellow mid, yellow ochre, orange yellow, orange red, vermilion, scarlet, crimson red lake, rose. Rose is very blue. I was hoping to be able to use that as my magenta, but it is super blue and doesn't mix brilliantly. We'll have a look at that in a second. Burnt sienna, burnt umber, lamp black, pale green, sap green, green medium, viridian, deep green, cerulean, which is really more of a turquoise, cobalt blue, ultramarine, Prussian blue and mauve. I tried doing a few primary sets to see what I liked the most. Here I've used lemon yellow, scarlet and cobalt. The purple is very greyed and the green's quite bright. The orange is lovely. Here I've used yellow mid, crimson red lake and ultramarine. The purple is super dark, but the paler colour is lovely. That's any colours that you're seeing around the edge are mixed with white. The orange is lovely. The green is lovely, very nice, but yeah, I think the purple is probably the weaker of the colours. Then we've got lemon yellow, rose and cobalt blue, so just this range but swapping the scarlet for the rose, and you can see we get quite a bluey purple. This is, yeah, almost lavendery. Orange is horrible. Well, it's like, yeah, it's more like a raw sienna or something like that, I suppose. And a very vivid green. Then I took the cerulean, which as I say is really turquoisey, and I just mixed it with ever increasing amounts of white down to as pale as I possibly could. That's reading quite a bit bluer on the screen than it is in real life. And then I just did some little sketchy doodlies with it. Foliage, birds, little flowers, just to see how it handled. There's a bit of streaking with it, but as I say, this is the first time I've used gouache in 30 years. I haven't got any technique at all. And as you can see, once we get into a slightly more intricate design, there's very minimal streaking. And we're getting that lovely matte finish that you get with gouache. And to be honest, from just these few little playing arounds that I've done in my sketchbook, I'm starting to wonder why I left it so long to have another try with gouache. I'm going to be painting on Stratford watercolour paper. This is the 100% cotton expert watercolour paper. It is cold pressed, but it isn't highly textured, so they call it not. So just barely a little ripple in the surface. Some watercolour paper is highly textured, this is not. No, it's not. Boom, boom. Because gouache is so opaque, you can be quite bold with your pencil marks. So I don't think I want to do an exact copy of the original. I say compositionally there are things I can see that I don't like, but it's going to be very similar indeed. And there they are side by side. It was a really interesting experiment. It was really fun to look back at my previous marks and try and maybe think to myself, I wonder why I did it like that. I wonder why I put that little pink bit up in the sky there. I wonder why I didn't resolve that area. I wonder why I let the path crash into the tree. But this was a sea change in the way I was working. I'd been very tentative. I'd barely put any paint on the paper at all. I would try and use oils as if they were almost like they were watercolour, just laying down washes, and I wasn't very expressive. And it wasn't until we went to see a big Impressionists exhibition up in London, which included work of post-Impressionists, Fauvists, and also the beginnings of German Expressionism, that I don't know, it was like someone switching a light on. This was a material that I could use thickly or thinly. I could leave paint strokes in. I could blend colours on the brush and allow that to create highlight and shade all in one brush stroke. So this is, for me, the very beginnings of my experimenting with that. I'm trying to get a grip on using contrasting colours right next to each other, just like the Fauvists did, to build high contrast. Chrome yellow is my favourite colour oil paint. And trying to replicate that in the gouache was very difficult indeed. The mid-yellow just wasn't having that impact for me. But I think I created more variety of brush strokes in this piece than I did in this one. I think I created more flow, and I think I explored the use of complementary colours even more than I did here. And I've tried to use tiny brush strokes to create the sense of a meadow that's maybe being blown by the wind, whereas here they're just a bit kind of cray-cray. I have always loved this conifer, and it made me a bit sad when my husband said he couldn't tell what it was. So I think when I came to paint this one, I tried to just calm the brush strokes a little. So instead of it looking like a green torch, maybe it reads a little bit more as a conifer. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. I also wanted to make sure that the brush stroke size of the far tree was different and considerably smaller than either of these two trees. Whereas in this one it looks like I probably used the same size brush for both this tree and this tree. Probably this tree as well. It's probably just the same brush everywhere. I think for a long time I only had one brush. I think I learnt an awful lot from doing this exercise. Not only understanding where I was in my art journey at this point, but also starting to explore the new material of gouache. I really liked the way I was able to soften down some strokes just with a mildly damp brush, just to make some of the mark making a little bit more sophisticated. Right, well that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to me here on YouTube. And until next time, bye.